What up, guys? Chicks dig 'em, seals hate 'em. Talking about the FN Scar today. Was gonna make a update to the video I made a little over a year ago. It's had a lot of interest, and there's a couple things I'd change. And so I'm just gonna talk to you guys about the 4 upgrades you can and should make to get more performance out of your Scar. And then at the end, gonna throw in one modification that I see a lot of guys making that you really shouldn't make to your Scar 17. So we're gonna go through these fairly quick. But first one is the trigger. Scar stock triggers, no secrets, not a great trigger. Geissele 2-stage trigger is my favorite. Nice 2-stage, real crisp break. It's a good trigger. Shooting sight also makes the Scar trigger, but I prefer the Geissele. Number 2 modification you should make for your Scar is giving it a longer handguard. So stock, the Scar comes with a handguard cut off right here, and the problem with that is twofold. First, it doesn't give you any real estate, or gives you very limited real estate for mounting anything like lights, lasers, or if you want to run a bipod. If you're running a bipod right here, you've got a very much less stable platform than if you're running a bipod out 6 inches in front of it. So this one's an MREX 6-inch rail. Several different people make extension rails from the Scar. I'm not partial. I like the MREX, but there are other good options. Number 3. This one is one that doesn't come up much in conversation when people are talking about the Scar, but in my mind, it's the probably the best single modification, the best thing about the Scar. I really appreciate this, and it's cheap, and that's the gas jet. So I'm gonna pull out, for brevity's sake, got another Scar. This one has a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel. So right here, you've got this little gas selector that you can run at 12 o'clock there, or at 10 o'clock for suppressed shooting. If you rotate it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, you can take it off. You've got a little hole in here, and you can replace the gas jet. This is what the gas jet looks like. It's a small little screw, but the screw, if I can turn it there you can see, has a little hole in the middle, and that regulates how much gas comes back to hit the piston of the Scar, which dictates how much force that piston is driving the bolt carrier backwards and forwards with. If you're shooting the Scar suppressed, you absolutely should be moving to a smaller gas jet. It's a $10 part, and if you have a hard time getting it out, Shooting Sight makes little screw bits that you can buy that are fit perfectly for that Scar gas jet. So they cost 10 bucks. Buy 3 or 4 of them. Play around with different sizes based on the suppressor you're using, based on the ammo you're using. Tune that down. Really gives you, slows down the bolt carrier as it travels, gives you a little less felt recoil. It's better on the bolt, and highly underrated, but an awesome thing to do for your Scar. It'll thank you. Bolt carrier will last forever, and you'll be dealing with less gas cycling the action. Lastly, I think it's a great thing to either cut, pin, and weld your barrel, or to do it as a SBR with a 13-inch barrel. Mine is cut, pin, and welded to 14.5 inches. I've heard some guys say it's a terrible idea. You should never do it. You've destroyed your barrel, which is not true. A gunsmith is able to, they are able to cut out the, unpin and weld it basically, if you wanted to change to a different muzzle device, or if you wanted to SBR, go to 13 inches. Why I like 14.5 versus 16 inches though, what you lose is very little. You're losing probably about 70, 80 feet per second or so per inch that you cut off. So if you cut off 1.5 inches, losing maybe 100, 120 feet per second off the velocity of the round. You're still probably hitting about 2,400 feet per second or so, depending on what ammo you're running, especially if you're running like 168 or 175 Sierra Match Kings. That's probably about what you're getting. Or if you're running something a little lighter and cheaper, like a 150 grain bullet, you're probably pushing 2,500 feet per second. Still very capable of making it out, 800 yards, 1,000 even, depending on how good of a shot you are. So I really like having the shorter platform. There's less muzzle hanging out past the end of the handguard, which means it's very easy to control, slightly lighter, you know, the military for, you know, just general purpose M4s, 14.5 inch. I run 14.5 inch on most of my rifles, minus my SBRs, and it's really a great thing to do to give yourself just a very compact, maneuverable, hopping in and out of weapons, doing your high-speed LARPing, whatever you're doing. Having a shorter gun makes almost everything easier. So I will very gladly give up that 120 feet per second for a 14.5 inch barrel. So top 4 mods, those are the 4 things I would do if I just got a SCAR and wanted to change it up. Lastly, what should you not do? And this is one I see a lot, but people like to replace the stock. There's a couple of different aftermarket stocks, and I don't know, people don't like the aesthetic of the UGG boot. To me, it fits the rifle perfectly. It's part of the kind of iconic SCAR look. It doesn't bother me at all. I think you're able to get good cheek weld with comb. But some people don't like it. But FN made this for a reason. So you've got a little swivel plate here that is made out of polymer. It's plastic. And most of the like the hinge plates that come on the aftermarket ones are made of metal, and FN designed this to have a little bit of flex with that plastic, and as it sits assembled, you get just a little bit of flex as that big heavy SCAR bolt carrier is coming back and slamming in to your end plate here. With a metal end plate, you get a little more bounce. I've heard Jared from Parker Mountain Machine compare it to dropping a golf ball onto a sheet of plastic like this. First dropping it onto a thick piece of aluminum, that golf ball is going to bounce higher off of the aluminum versus off plastic, which can flex a little bit. So if you change to the metal one for a SCAR 17, you risk doing some damage to your bolt carrier group over time, and those are not cheap to replace. And you can also have the receiver screws. I've seen those come out or start to cant at least. So leave the UGG boot on there. Love the UGG boot. The UGG boot will love you and love your SCAR for a long time. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate your attention. It means a lot if you would give me a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. That helps me out, and so I appreciate it. I think sometime in the near future I'll be doing a video on optics for the SCAR. I've run quite a few different optics on this thing in the 3+ years I've owned it now, between this and my other 17. So should have a video for you guys soon on SCAR optics. Thanks so much, and have a great day.